Kyoto University is comprised of 3 campuses at Yoshida, Uji, and Katsura. The Disaster Prevention Research Institute is based at the Uji campus. In addition to facilities at the Uji campus, there are some 15 observatories and laboratories, including the Ujigawa Open Laboratory and Sakurajima Volcanological Observatory for research on seismic, volcanic, landslide, wind and flood, and oceanographic disasters. These facilities form a joint usage and research center for domestic universities, which strives to further academic research and exchange. There are also cooperative international agreements with about 40 overseas universities and institutions. In the late 1940s, Japan was hit by a series of major earthquakes, typhoons, and other natural disasters. It was under such circumstances in 1947 that Kyoto University faculty members from the fields of geophysics, geology, civil engineering, architecture, agricultural civil engineering, and others began to work cooperatively on topics associated with natural hazards. In 1951, the Disaster Prevention Research Institute of Kyoto University was established with the goal to study disaster theories and related applications. Since its inception, the Institute has brought to light a variety of natural hazard mechanisms and more recently has strived to further integrate multidisciplinary efforts in disaster mitigation. The Disaster Prevention Research Institute has about 100 teaching staff and 180 graduate students from science, engineering, and information fields that are divided into 4 groups. The large numbers of staff and students undertake studies into the principles and mechanisms of natural hazard events, as well as practical application of mitigation. Along with scientifically identifying the complex causes and effects associated with disasters, the Integrated Arts and Sciences for Disaster Reduction Group comprehensively identifies disaster vulnerabilities and promotes fundamental research for the realization of a safe and comfortable society that can withstand such events. The group also carries out integrated research with a focus on risk and crisis management of large-scale disasters. The Seismic and Volcanic Hazards Mitigation Group undertakes research on physical mechanisms of earthquakes and volcanoes, as well as techniques related to prediction methods, and applies these to disaster mitigation technology. Following significant earthquakes and volcanic eruptions, staff travel to the affected area to assess damage and analyze geological and geophysical data collected on site. Fundamental seismological investigations regarding earthquake-generating mechanisms and underground structure will hopefully lead to earthquake prediction methods that will assist in the reduction of earthquake damage. In close collaboration with scientists, architects, and civil engineers, research on seismic ground motions is carried out in order to find ways to minimize damage to buildings and other structures caused by strong earthquake tremors. The ultimate goal is to build a strong social infrastructure such that people's livelihoods can withstand the effects of major earthquakes. Sakurajima Volcanological Observatory carries out seismic, geodetic, and geoelectromagnetic observations and aims to study eruptive mechanisms and predictive methodologies. The The Geohazards Group investigates the physical mechanisms for the Earth's surface, processes which include liquefaction, land subsidence, slope failures, landslides, and soil erosion, while also developing predictive methods and mitigation strategies for these events. For example, the group works to understand the surface movements of steep mountains to hill slopes. Also carried out are modeling and assessments of the ground stability in alluvial areas. The group plays a central role in international efforts undertaking landslide-specific research on causative and kinetic mechanisms, assessment and alleviation of risk, and also leads a project on a global surveillance system. The Atmosphere Hydrosphere Research Group investigates predictive methods for atmospheric and water cycle variations as related to global climatic and environmental changes. Water-related events such as heavy rainfall, runoff, and river flooding resulting from extreme weather conditions are examined in detail, as well as effects from storms, surges, and high waves. The group also studies debris flows generated by extreme rainfall, along with active experiments of levee failure caused by river overflow. The massive tsunamis produced by the 2004 Sumatra-Andaman earthquake and the 2011 Tohoku earthquake caused severe widespread damage and high human losses. Tsunami propagation and real-time prediction methods are being actively investigated in preparation for future tsunami occurrences in Japan. In addition, the analyses of the effects of social and economical activities on the hydrological cycle are undertaken, along with the development of models for water-environment dynamics. These models can comprehensively simulate various aspects of water resources, including water quantity, quality, and ecology. Investigations into the social and ecological management of risks to water resources are made, along with technologies and policies for the prevention of water disasters. The Division of Technical Affairs ensures the smooth operation of research and education efforts for the 4 research groups of the Institute. The Disaster Prevention Research Institute of Kyoto University promotes academic research and scientific exchanges through cooperative agreements signed with 39 research institutions in 18 countries. There are presently 56 foreign students and researchers at the Institute. A large number of these students are from countries throughout Asia. Mishra came with his family from Nepal. He lives at the Uji International House, an accommodation facility designed for foreign students and researchers and conveniently located close to the Uji campus. Coming from a country with severe and frequent hydrological events, he has come to Kyoto University to study ways to forecast and minimize regional flooding. On holidays, foreign students often explore Japanese culture and enjoy life in Kyoto. After studying at the Disaster Prevention Research Institute, foreign students will return to their home countries to become the new leaders in efforts to reduce the damage from the world's natural hazards. In the 21st century, we are confronted by increasingly frequent occurrences of natural disasters that are larger, more complex, and encompass multiple hazards. The massive earthquake and subsequent tsunami that swept across northeast Japan on March 11, 2011, resulted in more than 19,000 killed or missing persons, making it one of the worst natural disasters to befall the Japanese people in recent years. The Disaster Prevention Research Institute began to conduct numerous investigations and analyses immediately after the earthquake to better understand such complex phenomena. These studies contribute to efforts to establish a more resilient society. In May 2011, the Institute solicited researchers for a special emergency joint research initiative designed to encourage investigations into various problems related to the recent catastrophe. 11 research programs were then selected from the applications for further research. In order to create a safer and more secure global society, there is a need to further develop disaster prevention science and technology. The Global Center of Excellence Program Sustainability Survivability Science for a Resilient Society Adaptable to Extreme Weather Conditions at the Disaster Prevention Research Institute is responsible for fostering internationally orientated human resources ready to lead the field of disaster prevention. The Institute also participates in the Intergraduate School Program for Sustainable Development and Survivable Societies, established to develop the leadership skills of doctoral students, readying them for future challenges. A variety of joint research projects involving both domestic and international researchers are being actively promoted since our 2010 accreditation by the Ministry of Education, Culture, Sports, Science and Technology as a joint usage and research center of integrated natural disaster prevention science. Along with contributions to a harmonious existence of our global society, the Disaster Prevention Research Institute of Kyoto University will continue to undertake cutting-edge research focused on preventing and mitigating the effects of the harsh natural disasters of our world.